Hey everybody, it's the Heretic. So today we're going to discuss the prefatory clause of the Second Amendment. Um, if you're like me and you have a lot of discussions and debates with people regarding gun rights, most gun control advocates, the moment you mention the Second Amendment, will toss out the same old quips. They always say, so what well-regulated militia are you a part of? What well-regulated militia do you belong to? Um, that position is taken in error. It is basically a position asserted by people who do not understand much of anything about militias. And once you understand militias, you understand what they were saying with the prefatory clause of a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. A quick explanation of that is that the Second Amendment, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, was not for a well-regulated militia. It was because of a well-regulated militia. You have to keep in mind the Founding Fathers were real big on checks and balances, all right? More specifically, checks and balances to the nature of anything that tried to structure society so that the people had the capacity to combat government overreach, tyranny. Okay, but with the understanding that the government was also going to try to impose itself. Sometimes you think that something is tyrannical and something isn't. That's the dangerous freedom. Okay. What a lot of people don't know about militias is that a militia was not just something anybody could put together. It wasn't just a group of guys. Any group of guys couldn't just get together and say, we are a so-and-so militia. You have no right to do that under the Constitution. The Second Amendment does not enshrine your right to form a militia under any circumstances. A militia was subject to the command and control of the state, of the government. Militia service was compulsory, and that's a very, very key fact. You couldn't say no. So you're already trying to claim that they gave you a right to keep and bear arms so that you could do something that was compulsory? No. There's a big argument that they didn't want to build a standing army, that they didn't want to build a national centralized military force. That's not accurate. The wording of the Militia Act and other such legislature never forbade such a thing, and they understood that it was going to have to happen. But at the center of this argument is the fact that the militia was a standing army. Yeah, it just meant they weren't regulars. That wasn't what they did all the time. But they were a standing military force controlled by the government. The governors controlled the upper echelon of command. They would generally be the people who selected the upper echelon of command, the legislators, Congress. All of those people, the President of the United States had the power to activate the militia. The militia's charge was to be used to repel invasions, but also to put down insurrections or rebellions, meaning that the militia could be commanded. They could call up the militia to go 3 miles down the road and deal with their neighbors. You understand that? It was a standing government-controlled military force. So when they said, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, that was a counterbalance, checks and balances, to the standing military force that they said was necessary. That's what they're saying. When they say a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, what they're saying in the prefatory clause is that because it is necessary to have a government-controlled standing military force for the safety of any free state, because we have to have that. There's the check. The balance is we're going to give the right to keep and bear arms to the people. Follow me? Since you're going to be this, and we have to have that, we're going to counter that by giving the right to the weapons to the people, so that at no point can the one ever circumvent the other. You get it? So that our government-controlled entity, should it ever become tyrannical, should it ever become a mechanism of oppression, cannot simply just walk down the street and encounter unarmed individuals because we control the weapons like the British did. You see what I'm saying? So your argument of what well-regulated militia do you belong to, aside from the fact that the language of the Second Amendment at no point predicates the right to keep and bear arms on service in a militia, your argument's moot. It's completely kaput. Because the entire basis for giving the right to keep and bear arms to the people was not for the purpose of serving in a militia, but because of militias, because of standing military forces. So as long as there is a standing military force that is under the control of the United States government in any facet on American soil, the right of the people to keep and bear arms was given to the citizenry as a check for that, not for it, because of it.